How to go at that? What I'm going to move on to now is the second module today. So the first module, just for me to recap, is how to identify your market and your customers is based around those two pillars of these three pillars. So the two pillars are, as Benger's quite eloquently just described, who are your generalists? What's the avatar for your different product or products? And the second pillar is then what message are we going to give to that particular avatar, that generally, that customer? And then we move into the third pillar, which is all around this module, which is how to design your route to market. So this comes next, or this is the third and final bit, if you like. So this is the third pillar. And this is all about where and how. So what are those generalities? Where is your perfect customer avatar for whatever product or service are we going to talk to them or get to them? Yeah. And so this is the last bit out of the three. So again, I know I feel like I'm repeating it, but I'm doing this deliberately because I messed this up for many, many years. I got this wrong for many, many years because I thought, oh, this is what I want to say about what I do. And now I'm going to share in the wrong ocean. So the medium, if anybody talks about what is the medium is just that. So where are they and how are you going to get to them? And I've put in here for you as well another template. So I'm just going to put this up. So you can design your own template, but I've put this one up here to give you an idea. See if my pointer will work. Can you still see my pointer? Yeah. So
Yes.
you've got things like email, text, WhatsApp, Twitter, Google, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, blogs, websites. Most people have got a website. Do you use newspapers anymore? Some people still do. Different countries around the world use newspaper. Newspaper is a big communicating how. Magazines, exhibitions, direct mail, still use radio and television. Costs an absolute fortune. Maybe it's not right for you, but for some people it is. And so again, this is just for you to take away and think about, this is my target customer, i.e. in my case, it's Tesco. The message that Tesco is getting out is we are a family supermarket appealing to a couple with children that earn a certain income every year. And now we are going to go and find that type of person to deliver our message. And that's what this third pillar is all about. It's about, well, where are those customers then and how I can get them. I work with quite a lot of food companies, and a lot of my food companies supply products to pubs and restaurants. Do you have pubs in Nigeria?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Or is it?
Right in
Yeah,
London.
okay,
Yes.
well, cool. Yeah, okay, good. So I may think that my product, my food product, will apply to all pubs, but it won't. So when I know who my ideal customer is, and when I know what message I'm trying to portray with my type of food that I'm selling to a pub, I could then pick the correct exhibition or the correct magazine or write a blog which appeals to that type of pub. So now my medium, my way of communicating that message is very focused on exactly where that target market might be. Is this okay with everybody so far?
Yes.
Yeah, great,
Yes.
fabulous, fantastic. So that template you may want to alter. There may be things you want to put in there. There may be things in here that I put in that you'll never use, and that's fine. This isn't for you to go, we have to do this or we have to use that. No, 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 no. This is just for you to look at and think about. Then, okay, we know who our ideal customer is. We know the right message for that ideal customer. Now, where do we find them and how do we talk to them? So what I'm going to get you to do now, and again, we'll do 5 minutes, a lot of talking, and I would love you, one or two of you, just to share back to me and the rest of the group. So just take 5 minutes and think about where do you think your customers are? Your ideal customer. Some of you have got many. So that's fine. I just want you to take 5 minutes. You'll remember it better by writing it down. Have 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll have some feedback. Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. I think I've given you about 5 minutes there. Who would like to just share back with us? Anybody like to unmute their microphone and just share your thoughts, please? That would be really valuable for the group. Anybody like to share? Go on, who's going to volunteer? Oh, okay. Sir.
Yeah, I think personally,
Fantastic, thank you.
so I think concerning my own company and the product that we sell, I think a couple of places that I think my customer are, and majorly is through
Yes.
email targeting,
Yeah.
email targeting, Instagram, Google ads,
yeah,
and I think magazine that are related to what my customers are doing. For example, like some magazine that are related to FMCG companies, sport betting, home care products, and other companies.
There's some good stuff there.
Event branding magazines. So those are the places I think I can find my where my customer can see me.
Excellent.
So those are the places.
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Anyone else? What one more? Anybody else like to share with the group, please? Really, really good.
So for me, I think
Thank you.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Hear you beautifully. That's lovely.
Yes. Yes. So I think for me, I think where I can it's my customers, uh emails, lot of emails, for strategy. So it's an energy management company, and we're also into engineering, procurement, construction. I think a lot of customers they will take emails seriously, and newspapers, because I think a lot of my customers are professionals and maybe people who are not really so young. So these are people who tend to read the newspapers every day as well, and magazines who publish energy related content, engineering content, a lot of my customers will be there as well. Then social media, LinkedIn, where a lot of professional people are, they will tend to
Brilliant.
be there as well. And yeah, Facebook as well. So I think that's what I have here
That is
for
excellent.
me.
Thank you so much for that. Just one more of you. Anyone else just
So
like to
I would
share?
like to share mine too. A lot of
Brilliant.
my customers
Thank
are
you.
found on basically one of the major ways of we communicate is through email and phone calls. Most especially, we use LinkedIn also just to get some customers' attentions, to tell them what we do as a company, what we are into, what solutions we have for them, and how our solutions are can actually benefit them. So basically, it's big about email communications, LinkedIn platform, and social medias, because it is on social media that we share most of the things how we do, our accomplishments, our highlights of the job we have completed in the past, and our core area of competency. So this is one of the ways that we get to the market actually.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for that feedback. That's really valuable for not just for me, but for everybody as well, just to give everyone a flavour of what that is. That is excellent. Okay, so we've done a little bit of feedback on that. Now, I'm just put this in as well. Now, you might think now that, okay, Marcus, this is a bit confusing because we've just talked about we use social platforms and we use newspapers, and we use different things, all the rest of it. And I put on this, okay, how are you going to communicate with your customer, with your ideal avatar? So I've sort of put where and then how. So these two would seem to blend together, and often they do. So let me just explain this for a moment, because you might be thinking this is confusing. So I'm talking about the where and the how. So where I live in Nottingham, I live in a particular suburb or a particular area of which has a very high proportion of really good schools. And so this area is renowned in Nottingham for a place to send children to school. So again, a particular type of target market, a particular type of avatar. So the where for somebody that was going to promote their school would be in West Bridgeford, which is where I live. So why in this particular instance for me is important is also to know the somebody just put me a message in here. 1 second, then I'll be right with you. I'm a man, I can't do two things at once. So one of the things to be aware of is that sometimes you will need to find where your customer is before you think of the how do I communicate with them, but not all the time. So as you have just very eloquently talked to me about, a lot of you use social media and these different things, and they are the hows. So they are the hows. But sometimes if somebody is in a particular area of a country or a particular area of the world, we first of all, when we know where they are, we can then think about the best how to actually get to them. So if it was me in West Bridgeford with schools, I would now be thinking, okay, how do I get my message to all the houses in West Bridgeford about my school? Does this make sense? So what you've all done is great, it's fantastic. And sometimes your where and how will be the same. But sometimes it'll be where it's an area, and the how is, how am I going to get to that area? Make sense? Great stuff. So I'm not going to get you to do that exercise now, but I just wanted to explain it because it may seem confusing. But in the world we live in now, particularly with social media and LinkedIn and email and these sorts of things, they are the hows, but sometimes that is also the where. But if you have companies that occupy a particular place, that would be where they are. And social media and LinkedIn may be exactly the right way to talk to them and get your message to them, but it's just being aware of both bits, yeah? And how they fit together. Brilliant. Okay, it is 1:45, so we're not going to do that exercise, ladies and gentlemen, which gives me a little bit more time to take any questions at the end. So the other thing I've put in here for you talk to you about. So these are the 3 pillars. So we've got who are your target market, who is your avatar, or who are your avatars based around your different products and your different services. The second pillar is what are you going to say? And you may have a different message to different avatar, different ideal customers in your business. You may have a different message, which is great, which is fine, absolutely fine. But you and I need to recognize that they are different and therefore they need a different message. And then the last pillar, the third pillar, which we just talked about, is the medium. So the medium is where are they and how are we going to talk to them? And this, the medium, second, what, third, where, and how. Okay, I've put this in as well, ladies and gentlemen, because lots of companies don't do this. They get a customer and they sell them a product or they sell them a service, or maybe that customer continues to buy from them, but we don't particularly do anything to keep in touch with them. They come and see us from time to time. I go to a supermarket and buy food and I go again. But does the supermarket keep in touch with me? A lot of the time, no, they don't. They don't send me anything. They don't send me offers. They don't have any loyalty scheme. And so they don't keep in touch with me. And I just want to give you a few things here about how important it is to keep in touch with your customers, to keep in touch with those generalies. Because the more you keep in touch with those generalies, the more that they will buy from you and use your services ongoing. And we're not going to get into this today because Benga talked about earlier about market segmentation, those sort of things. But the lifetime of your customer, you want those generalies to continue to buy and use you all the time. Occasionalies may, if we can make occasionalies buy more from us, great. But we also need to then make sure that we keep in touch with the occasionalies as well, yes? So this isn't just generalies, because sometimes an occasionally will become a generally. Somebody that uses you and buys your products and services from time to time may choose to buy your products and services more regularly. And so by keeping in touch with both generalies and occasionalies, you have the opportunity to create more business over the long term. So what I've done here is keep in touch, or that should actually say I there. That shouldn't be an L, that should be an I. Mistake from Marcus, mistake. That should be an I. So you build the relationship. The more you keep in touch with somebody, the better the relationship builds. And you all know this. Sales is about relationships. If somebody likes you, somebody will probably deal with you. If you've got a good relationship with somebody, they will have a good relationship with you. People buy from people. I want you to take this little bit away from here today. I know you can see me pointing. So know, like, and trust. If somebody doesn't know you, they can't possibly like you. And if they don't know you, they can't trust you. So first of all, we need people to know who you are. And then after that, we actually want them to like us, because if we like somebody, there is more chance that we trust them. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we want somebody to trust us. So I trust Tesco and the quality of the food and the pricing and everything else that they do. If I trust them, I will genuinely go there more often. And that's what we all want as business owners and senior people in the business. We want people to like us. We want people to trust us, so that we get more generalies, people that buy from us more generally. And then we can be very focused on what we say to them and actually how we talk to them, which is what we've talked about for the last 2 hours nearly on this session. I'm not putting anything new in. I'm just cementing how we can make it better. Consistency builds reliability and trust. So be consistent. If we send somebody something, if we email them every so often, make sure that we do email them every so often. If we post on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, make sure that we post regularly so people can see us. So we build consistency. Most of your competitors won't do it. They won't do it. You may think they will, but they won't. And so if you can do these things, you will set yourself apart from your competitors, and people will see you as being more reliable and more trustworthy, and they will want to deal with you and buy your products and services more. So get into that habit, and it is a habit. Maybe you wouldn't be the person in your business to do this, but somebody in your business needs to be the person to do this, in order that you build that consistency and you build greater reliability and trust, and ultimately we sell more. Gives you a big advantage. Customers do feel empathy for you. They actually want to deal with you. They want to use you rather than somebody else down the road. And the other thing which we always talk about is make sure that you collect data continually. I'm sure you do, but it's really important to make sure that you create and keep lists of people, and also make sure that you keep them as per your avatar of the customer. So you keep them segmented together, so that lots of you said earlier today that you had different products and different services for different types of customer. Make sure that when you build your customers list and you segregate them, you keep them together so the same type of avatar is together, because that way then you are more efficient and your message that are going to walk into your business or you are going to sell to. And always remember this: if somebody asks you what business you're in, you're actually in the business of marketing your business. And with all what we've talked about this morning during the last almost 2 hours, it's about marketing the right message in the right way to the right people. Yeah. So if you just take one thing away from this session today with me, it's about giving the right message in the right way to the right people. So ladies and gentlemen, you've been absolutely fantastic this morning, or it's the afternoon now, isn't it? But any questions, please, about anything, just for the last 7 or 8 minutes. Anything but anything. Oh, by the way, I don't know all the answers. Anybody confused on anything? Anybody like a bit more explanation on anything? Any of the three
Okay.
pillars.
So
Go on.
I think I have a question here.
Excellent.
So yeah, no, so now using social media like as a case study, yeah. So I have my customers. I want to reach out to them through social media. Is there a way I can like send messages to them to like kind of use my services? And each person I'm reaching out to on social media has their own unique uh, character, has their own unique personality. So how do I send messages to these various people and create a good impression
Right. Okay.
without it being interrupting or without me looking like a, how do I put it? What do they call these accounts? Like maybe a bot or robot account or something like that. I don't know if you can just shed
Yes.
more light
So
on
if I
that.
understand you correctly, it's about how do you send the right message via social media.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay. So social media is, and that's a great question. Social media is actually no different to any other medium and communicating with your customer. And the key part is to make sure that we try to understand as much as possible about the person that we are sending the social media to. So if we have a Facebook group or we do a Twitter post or something like that to somebody, or we're going to copy a lot of people on it, we need to make sure that the people we are talking to via social media are the right generally for us. And so therefore, it is our job as a salesperson to try to understand and build a picture of the avatar of the person we're communicating with, regardless of the medium, which in this case is social media, being used to communicate with that person or that company. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's a great question. Social media is just the way, okay? So if I social media or send if I do a Twitter to lots and lots of different people who aren't right for me, it just much. It's a bit like, I'll use this as an example because that's a great question. If you use LinkedIn, if any of you use LinkedIn, and I know some of you do because some of you said it in the chat box, right? Here's the key with LinkedIn. You need to make sure that if you were going to target groups on LinkedIn, they are the group which is the right generally for you. If it was a group of people individually, you need to make sure that those individuals are the right, generally, the right avatar for you. Not them, you. Because if you have something to offer them, a product, a service, and I know some of you have lots of products and services to offer them, we need to make sure that the person we are talking to, regardless of the way we talk to them, that person needs to be the correct person for us to talk to. And it's our job to find out that before we actually do lots of social media. Because social media will only be as good as the people that you are communicating with based on what you have to sell them, to be able to help add benefit and value to their lives. Social media is the medium, it's the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Makes
a
a lot
great
of sense.
it's a great question. Thank you for asking that question.
All right. Thank
So
you very much.
I have a question too. I have a
Please.
question at the end. My question is, how often do someone call his or her customers? Because some people look at it as if you are disturbing them. If you call them almost 2 days interval, asking what's the update, like you are visiting them almost every week and you are calling them.
I think about this no Ghana.
Hello?
So I come
Yeah.
And you are calling them almost every two
that
days.
so that one come Go.
Is it?
So, please just say the
Can
question.
I want to ask a question, please.
Yeah, who just asked the question?
Somebody
Oh,
just asked the question there, so let's just stop
Yes,
that.
just answer that question first. So one second, I'll answer that question first. So I think the question was about how often do you call people? Was that correct, sir, who asked that? How often do you contact people or go and see
Yes.
people?
Yes, that's the question.
Right. Okay. Now there is no short, quick answer to that. But what I would suggest are a few things. First of all, if it's a customer you visit and you deal with, so they buy from you, you need to decide what you believe is the right frequency to go and see them. And one of the ways you could do that is just ask them. Just ask them. The other thing I would suggest you do, if it's a customer or it's a prospect that you are trying to get to do business with, and you have rung them today, do not ring them for another week. If it's a customer that you contact every so often, then my suggestion would be you contact them. If it's somebody that you've talked to or tried to talk to a few times and you don't seem to be getting anywhere, my view on that would be once a month you contact them. And no more than that, because otherwise you become too pushy. But if you contact them less than once a month, they will forget about you. And there will come the day whereby they will probably need somebody else just like you. And if you keep in contact or keep in touch
hello, Baba. Yes, sir.
every month, you
Yeah.
will actually be able to keep in touch
I'm
with them. Sir, who was it that asked me that question? I think a minute ago, I couldn't see who that was.
Yeah, there was, I think it was Olabodi. I guess he was on another call. So while we're waiting for him, maybe I could just add a few points to
Push cam, go for it.
Yes. Okay, so so for the last person that asked about frequency, I think that was a very perfect answer, Marcos. So there are those that you are not very sure of how often you need to call them. You can ask them. You can ask them, when should I follow up? And I think that is the best way, because whenever they tell you to ask, it could also be a conversation. If you think that the next time the person wants you to call them is too far, so that could be a conversation. So you could ask them, oh, would that not be too long for me to get back to you, so that this doesn't get out of your mind? So, but if they tell you this is fine, I think that is a very good way, to understand the frequency. And then, in addition to what I just want to emphasize on that part of asking, which many of us don't do. We just assume that, okay, we can determine how often we need to call them, because sometimes you become a problem to them, and then when you don't call often enough, then they forget about you. Somebody, oh, we thought you were no longer in the business, and then somebody comes in and takes over the business from you. But you can try to make an attempt to find out how often you need to call them. And then, of course, you should understand the industry, because if they are your existing customers, there's a way to also talk to them. If they are a prospect, there is also the frequency that is appropriate. If they are already your customers, you already have a relationship. Okay, so, and as someone who is also calling, this is what I also tell salespeople. So if you have a company, for example, that is buying from you regularly, your call should not always be about sales, so that you become a pain in their neck. Sometimes when you are calling, you are also calling to provide more value rather than calling for sales. So they know that when your call is coming in, they know that you are not calling to demand for payment or money or more order or more sales. They know that sometimes you are not talking about sales, but you are also talking about their business and how to help them to do better in their business. So they will value your sales, though they don't know which of the calls is coming in, so that they don't miss those valuable things that you are sharing with them. So I think that's my little addition. Then the first person that was also talking about the messaging on social media. So Marcus gave us a very interesting definition. So marketing is about sharing the right message to the right people using the right medium. Okay. So if, for example, let me give an example, right? LinkedIn, and then somebody comes on LinkedIn and begins to sell lingerie, for example. I don't think that's a very appropriate medium. A lot of people will find it offensive. You are selling, maybe we don't get you are selling underwears, for example, in a professional platform. So yes, the people there are human beings, but they are not expecting to see that kind of a message in a platform like LinkedIn. So it's also important for you to determine who are the people that are my customers, what medium is best for me to connect with them, and then what is the right message, because the right message must also provoke their interest. Okay, so, and I think the social media space, as especially Facebook and Instagram, they've done a lot of work. A lot of algorithms are working behind the scene that can help you to fine-tune your audience, the location, which city are they, what age group, what do they do, where do they work. I think Facebook and Instagram has done a lot of work on that. You can fine-tune your target market to that extent. And then another thing is that I'm sure some of you must have noticed it. If you have clicked on any particular product, in the next moment, that product is chasing you on Facebook. And that's the algorithm working. So, and those few products that are chasing you is because those companies that are advertising those products have also optimized their advertising. So it's not every product that is in that, it's not every product that is being advertised that will be chasing you. It is also those companies who also understand the digital marketing system, and they are able to set their marketing to the fact that once you click on any similar product that we sell, then Facebook should show our adverts to you. Okay, so I think that's just a little addition I want to add to that.
Brilliant. Just while you're talking about that, we've got a couple of questions in the chat box. Someone's also asked about how often to visit. Now, how often to visit, again, is a long answer based upon whether it's a customer that you're trying to get business with or whether it's a customer that you already do business with. So if it's a customer you already do business with, how often should you visit? That is what you need to think about. And I would consider a few things. How much business do you get from them? How much time do you need to take to visit them? And really, what is the return on investment? So what is the return for your time? And then you need to think about how often. It might be a customer that you go and see every week because they give you a big order. There's lots of potential. It might be a customer you go to once a month because they're not as big a customer and there's not as much potential. It may be a customer that you go to once every quarter. If it's somebody that you don't deal with at the moment, so you don't sell them any product or service at the moment, how often should you visit them? My view would be not to visit them. My view would be what you actually do is you send them a letter, you find them who is the best person to talk to and send a letter, then you follow up with a phone call in order to make an appointment. That would be my best route to market. So find the companies that you want to do business with, which is exactly the same as what we've talked about all day today. It's about finding that generally. Once you've found those companies, find the person who is the best person for you to talk to and write to them first or send them an email, okay? But it's better to write to them and send them an email, but that's for another workshop. And then look to make an appointment with them and then go and see them. I wouldn't just go and see them because you're going to waste a lot of your time and you're going to get a lot more no's from the people that you go and see. If you have the time to go out and door knock or call on companies in business industrial estates, if that's part of your job, then fine, so be it. If you're out on the road all day and that is it, then fine. Then you decide when you've been to see somebody, depending on what they said or how they came back to you, do you depend on making the decision as to when you feel is the best time to go again? Hopefully that answers that question. We've also got another question here. Somebody actually asked me,
Yes,
it's you.
Can I go on, please?
Please.
Yeah, please. There is this particular question I need to ask on customer profile, the avatar stuff. Assuming I'm prospecting a company, I want to sell a product to a company. That's quite different from trying to sell to an individual. What is the difference in the parameter? How do you set your parameter when you want to sell, when you want to profile a company and you want to profile an individual?
Okay, great question. Right, so a company avatar, so an individual, like on my template, which talked about a man, woman with children, they earn certain amount of money, they have certain hobbies, certain attitudes. That would be an avatar for a person, yes? And you're asking me about a company.
Yes.
So brilliant, great question. So what I would suggest here is, in order to determine the avatar of a company, is to understand what that company is trying to achieve, first of all. So what you're doing is you're building a picture or a customer profile. You're building an avatar for the company. So there might be certain things that company are trying to achieve on a big picture, a strategy, that your business and your products and your services can actually help them. And they can help solve some of that company's problems, yes? So the more you know about that company and understanding the company and understanding the key personnel within that company and understanding that company's long-term strategy and vision, that is an avatar for their company. And then you can decide whether you believe that your product and services can help provide a solution to that company.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah.
And if you can also, it's a great question. And another little bit, if you can also find out about key individuals, senior individuals in that company that make the big decisions, that's also going to help build the avatar for you about the company and the key people.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay. Great.
Good question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, that's 10 past 2.
Yes, let me just add a minute to that. So I think that apart from the criteria we have used for deciding on ideal customer profile for individual customers, I think we have a few that we can also use for companies if we are dealing with companies. And that's a very good question, actually. I was expecting that type of question. I think somebody was asking that type of question. Okay, maybe when we're trying to look at markets, so when you were asking them to do that exercise. So one of the criteria you can use to identify your ideal customer profile is to look at the size of the company. Okay, what is the size of the company? That can help you to begin to classify companies. What is their revenue? Okay, if a company is making a revenue of 50 million naira, for example, in a year, and you're asking them to buy a machine of 5 million naira, what is that machine? Is that the main thing that they are using to manufacture their products? You understand? So you need to consider their budget. Okay. You also need to look at location. All right. There are certain companies that are where they are located can determine the kind of products that they buy. You also need to look at the industry, the sector. Okay, is it a pharmaceutical industry? Just like you said, you already have an idea, FMCG. So when you see a typical company that is selling beverages, you know that that's your potential customer, right? Because of the segment. But when you see another industry that is doing something else, they may not be. All right. And then another thing that, very important that Marcus said, the generalists and the occasionalists. So, for example, maybe a bank can be an occasionalist for you, right? But an FMCG is your generalist that you go after. So when the bank walk in, no problem. But you are not going to target your effort. You are not going to be crafting your message and spending your little budget of marketing to be attracting banks because they are not your typical customer. So you look at the location, you look at the industry, the company size, and their budget, for what you do. I think those, those kind of considerations can help in determining, profiling your ideal customers when you are talking, when we are doing B2B. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right.
You're very, very welcome.
Thank you.